do the steel roofing. It is just way easier to work with. Just kind of start with what you have. So I ended up having to pretty much completely tear that cabinet apart. It's all just been learning and growing, which makes it a lot more fun. Hi, my name's Rye. This is my 2002 Isuzu NPR box truck turned into a tiny house. Just kind of self-converted, and come on up, check it out. Hey, welcome. This is the kitchen. Kind of simple outlay, but it all turned out good. The sink came from the local scrapyard. Just kind of asking if he had anything, and this was hiding in the bushes. He kind of forgot about it even. And then my windows in the RV stove oven came from an RV that had been water damaged from sitting and stuff. So again, another junkyard score that saves a lot when you're trying to get started. Cabinet faces are from a guy who used to build concession stand trailers. He retired, and this was just his old stock. So if you can hunt around for that kind of thing, like the manufacturers, sometimes they'll have oddball stock or damaged things, and if you're alright with just kind of making things work, it saves a lot, and you end up with a pretty decent product. This water heater is the 15-liter one. Way overkill. That's meant for a 3-bathroom house, to where I have to have it on the verge of the lowest settings it'll operate, and if the tank in my, or the water in my tank is warm and hot, I can't take a shower. It just burns you. It's just too damn hot. I can't go cold enough. Vent fan is a saving grace. I say if you're debating on it, just put one in. It makes a world of a difference. I don't know if you need two or not. At least have a way to get air to travel through. I had to put a window in by the bed before. It was all dead air, and it would just get hot, and there was no good way of pulling air through, but at least one fan does a world of a difference. I did do some storage up in here, and now that I'm remembering it, building this truck, you just assume the roof is flat. When I built this cabinet, I did it on a bench. Got everything perfect, square, flat, true. And I go to hang it on the wall, and it won't mount flat to anything. I didn't realize that the truck walls are bowed a little, and then the roof is bowed to shed water 1.5 inches. So I ended up having to pretty much completely tear that cabinet apart, rebuild it with curves, and then it works. But when I look at it, I see all the impurities, and it bugs the hell out of me. But that is part of the life. When you build these things, it is nothing but one challenge after another, which also makes it so much more fun. It's not like building a normal house where as long as everything's square, it all just goes in like a put together. Now this will give you some challenges. I guess what got me started traveling, kind of started as a vacation in a minivan. I worked for 14 years before I took a vacation, before I finally took a break. Came out to the Southwest in the middle of winter to get warm and stumbled across people doing this, which I really didn't know it was a thing. Then you find YouTube and the wormhole of, you just spiral into everything you can find out, and then you just start doing it yourself. And it just, all of a sudden, I've been doing it for 3 years now, full-time on the road, 2 years of vacation just to figure out what I wanted to do. And even once I thought I knew what I was up to, things change, and that's just part of it. We change as we learn, and when you're out here traveling, it's just constant traveling, learning. That's really how I got into it. Just vacation spiraled into this, and I don't have intentions of going back anytime soon, but just kind of fun way of life. Alright, well, here's the bedroom. I did do mirrored cabinets, or him and hers on both sides was the idea, but you'd never have enough clothing space, it seems like, because, well, I work on the road too, to where I need grimy clothes and beat up clothes along with nice stuff. This is kind of just general, kind of everything. I have extra blankets and bedding in the back half, more books, and a couple of videos and video games for the machine that never gets used. And then, books, some paperwork. You're just kind of general what you need. And it did turn out nice, because when you do want to read or watch TV, you just pack the pillows up and your head sits. My friend did that, thankfully, because he was a carpenter and cabinetry guy. This is a queen size bed. I'm 6'4", so I needed room, and you always hope you have company. It was definitely worth going to the bigger mattress. And then a big thing a lot of people forget is to get airflow underneath your bed. It's just a platform, just plywood platform, but I did this floor grating that gives you almost a half an inch of air underneath there so that you don't get mold up underneath the bed, because that's really common. A lot of people have that issue, and it bites you in the ass later. It sucks when you have to throw a 6-month-old mattress away because it's black, to where $30 in grading and you're saved. Alright, well, we'll kind of move down to the living room area, I guess. This started with my table outside was inside here, and then I just had 2 bar stools. But it's great for just sitting down and eating. But when you just want to take a break and get your stuff together before moving on to whatever's next, and you don't have a place to sit down and relax, you climb into bed, and then your day's over at 10 in the morning. It was a learning curve to where I built this out, and I also needed storage, which really was the other main factor behind this, just because all this was scattered everywhere else in the rig, and it is packed. But it's all gear to go explore, have fun, and when you're not working, you gotta keep yourself entertained. But it all turned out pretty easy. It's 2x2 construction instead of doing 2x4s. It's just not needed. Just make sure all your plywood's glued and nailed on good and sturdy, and all your strength comes from there. And I've had 5 people sitting on this, so it works out great. And that is the other thing, is you never know when you have people that want to come hang out, and just people stack up quick. And it all turned out pretty good. Alright, this is kind of the walkway, mudroom, kind of throw your coat on the hook, and then storage, kind of the library, the little one, which, I don't know, you always pick up books. And then storage all the way through, and then underneath is shoes, and then like grocery bags, that kind of thing. My friend, we knew we wanted a place to sit, but didn't know what to do with this wood surface, and my friend just got a laser engraver, to where he needed a bigger project to get the machine dialed in, and we just had the BF Goodwrench truck tread just burned into it, and it turned out pretty cool. Alright, well, we're in the bathroom now. It's just galvanized, steel galvanized. I would do roofing if I did it again. This is the decorative sheet metal. It's paper thin, and it's kind of dangerous to work with if you haven't worked with metal before. Do the steel roofing. It is just way easier to work with, and just, it should hold up longer, but I mean, this is going to last forever. It's still galvanized. Did my own composting toilet, just a plywood box, and then the bucket and fan system. That's been doing pretty good. The faucet is an antique bathtub faucet that I just got out of a tub I found out in the woods, and then just ran copper line and the shower heads up here, and it works out pretty good. The just shower, I got the one with the pockets for the shower curtain. That way, again, storage, place to have things handy. For work, really it's been kind of, I just pick up cash gigs here and there. Every once in a great while you get on Craigslist and look on gigs, and just odd stuff pops up. Otherwise, I just kind of go to businesses, just kind of look for stuff that's in my skill set. I helped out a UTV rental company. They needed somebody, and I had experience back in Wisconsin getting one of those started, and you know, it was easy to walk in and help them out with skills you already knew, so you kind of play for what you already know. I go back up into Wisconsin every year just so I can take care of family life and everything, and then I do cranberry harvest, because that's what I used to do. To where, again, I'm just playing off of skill sets, but little by little I've been stepping into other things. I grew up doing some carpentry, but I helped a guy build a shop this last year. That kind of thing just works. And I don't know what's next for jobs or work. I'll just kind of keep landing and playing into things, and it's all just been learning and growing, which makes it a lot more fun. Sometimes you get into stuff you didn't want to, but nothing's always that great. Really, that's it for work. It's been working. I have high notes, low notes. I sold my old rig. That made money. That kept me afloat here for a good year, but I'd like to keep building stuff. But just kind of how it plays in. Alright, here's my battery bank solar system. I have 800 watts on the roof, and it's 500 on one side and 3 on the other, just kind of the layout up there. And then I came down for in here, this is the 500 watt input, and then I have the 300 is on its own bank. So if one charge controller craps out, or if something happens on the panels, like you lose a cable, something will still keep coming in, being you have 2 setups. And I have had cables up there get snagged or just rattle apart. And you just notice I don't have what I should have, but my fridge doesn't die, or I don't completely kill the batteries, which has saved me twice. So that is worth doing if you're putting a big array up there. And I went with that kind of power because I'm from Wisconsin, and I normally spend fall up into just the beginning of winter up there. You need extra power just because sun is terrible up there. And I normally stay until it gets sub-zero or until the sun's just too far down, and I just can't make it. But that's also why I have 500 amp hours of battery. And the batteries were from the local junk guy again. The hospital had part of their battery emergency bank fail. And then he got all of the batteries because they couldn't just replace the bad ones. So he got all these, like 100 of these batteries, and he was selling them for $30 a piece. And that was like 6-7 years ago. So these batteries have done all kinds of stuff, and I'm kind of giving them their retirement on this gig. And they've been working, so for $30 a piece, it's a big saving grace. To where if you can hunt around and find those kinds of deals, it makes a world of a difference, at least for learning and getting going. They will be dying at some time shortly, and it makes you nervous, but it's just rolling into the next thing. Probably go to lithium, just because it would save on weight. Because this is around 700 pounds of batteries. So, and it's a 500-pound drawer, to where you got to be gentle. But it also puts a lot of weight on one side of the truck, which is another thing to keep in mind, is where you're going to place that kind of weight. Yeah, for the most part, it's a simple system. I did back up everything that's powering it. I'm fused here, and then before it goes to each usage point, like lights or fans, those have a fuse too. That way there is a backup redundancy, because it is direct current. If there's nothing to stop it, it will just keep shorting out until you get a fire, or until it come back and burn something else down, to where if you have a fuse, it cuts it off and you're safe. That seems to be something a lot of people don't know until they get into it and have incidences or issues. To where I just grew up doing it with trucks and equipment, so I got lucky there. Well, now we're at the back of the truck, the garage area, kind of the bench or workbench, motorcycle hauler, and back deck. And then just gear storage and tools. This is a big roller drawer with spare parts, and then tools and other equipment, and that all rolls out. I'm glad I got talked into doing that. Totally worth it. The door does go all the way up. I don't know if you've seen before, you do get light all the way through, and it is nice. And you can change your bedding, makes it a lot easier than being stuffed in a corner. Storage back here with, of course you can't see it because it's buried, but my 40-gallon water tank's back there. My water pump is right in the corner, so it's easy to get to if you have any issues. Chinese diesel heater is in here too, and it has its own access port, just because it's kind of more up in the middle of the truck. And that's been phenomenal, being in the north when it gets cold. I've been in the -14, and I had freeze up, but nothing serious. Yeah, that's pretty much it for back here. I do have a ramp to get the bike up, but otherwise that's it. Just kind of start with what you have. If it's just a car or like a minivan I had, and then I rolled into a pickup camper on the back of my pickup truck, and that kind of got me going. And then I realized I wanted and needed space and storage for equipment to be able to support myself, and just kind of take the time to think about what you want to do and head for it, because you don't necessarily need to buy a 40-foot school bus, because then you got 40 feet of space to fill and use, and you may not need it. I've met people that are in the little Dodge ProMaster, the little short one, and they're 6 foot tall, and they're happy, they're comfortable. You know, they work online and stuff to where they don't need a big workspace or a ton of equipment. just kind of figuring out what you need and where you think you're headed, and just kind of grow from there. And then even if you do get in a rig and going on it and stuff and realize that your plans and ideas change, that's just growth. It's normal. I didn't think I was going to leave my pickup truck with a trailer, and it didn't take long to realize that just wasn't going to work for me. And I ended up in this big box, which just kind of played in. It's okay to grow and learn, but you just kind of pick up what's important to you and what you think you want from there, and then move on. Alright, well, thanks for watching, checking it out, seeing what I did and kind of what I learned from doing it. If you wanted to get a hold of me, I'm on Facebook at Gazicki with Facebook. I have a Gmail account, GESICKIRI @gmail. Yeah, kind of thanks for checking it out. If anybody's interested, I would be willing to give it a new home and let somebody else enjoy it and just learn and grow. Thanks again, and see you on down the road or somewhere else.